If you really want your content to hit different, to actually connect with people, just spitting out information isn't going to cut it. You've got to tell a story. So in this explainer, we're going to break down count 'em, six essential techniques to help you master the art of storytelling and completely transform your content. Right? That's the big question. How do you actually do that? How do you make something that doesn't just get a click, but gets someone to stick around, to feel something? It's pretty much the million-dollar question for anyone making anything online today. Well, here's the good news. It's not some secret sauce or, magic. It's a craft. It's a process. And it's a process that you can totally learn and get great at. So let's just dive right in, shall we? We're going to start with the absolute foundation, the blueprint. Okay, so before you even think about writing a single word of your script, you need a plan, a blueprint. This is the part where you get strategic and lay the groundwork so that your story actually, lands the way you want it to. And this is going to sound a little weird, a little backwards, but trust me on this, the best place to start is at the end. Seriously, you have to know your destination before you can even begin to figure out how you're going to get there. The creator Callaway has this great name for it, the last stab. Like that final drop of hot sauce that brings all the flavor together. It's that one line that just sticks in your viewer's head. And if you're making short videos, this is absolutely crucial, because the end of your video is basically the setup for the beginning of the next loop. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Think about a master like Christopher Nolan. For a crazy complex movie like Inception, you better believe he knew exactly how it was going to end before he started building all that mind-bending conflict in the middle. He needed that destination to map the journey. And guess what? Your story, even if it's just 30 seconds long, works the exact same way. All right, so you've got your ending, you know where this thing is headed, but how do you make the trip there interesting? How do you make it yours, especially if you're talking about something everyone else is already talking about? This is where a little something called the story lens comes into play. I love this idea. Think of a big, popular topic as just a plain old beam of white light, right? Kind of boring. Everyone sees it the same. Your story lens is the prism. You put it in front of that light, and suddenly it creates this incredible, unique spectrum of colors that only you could have made. Let me give you a perfect example. Remember when Taylor Swift was all over the Super Bowl? Okay, so tons of people made videos about her outfit, her reactions. That's the common lens. It's fine, but it's crowded. But a more unique lens, the one Callaway used, he talked about the business impact she had on the NFL. See the difference? By picking that angle, his video was suddenly in a league of its own. Okay, so our blueprint is done. Now it's time to actually build this thing. This is where we get our hands dirty and construct the engine of the story, the part that's going to grab your audience and pull them all the way through to the end. And that engine fires up with the hook. Two simple rules here. Rule 1, be direct. Your first line has to be punchy and super clear about what's going on. No vague, wait till you see this stuff. And rule 2, and this one is a biggie, show something interesting right away. Our eyes are way faster than our ears, so a great visual hook can grab someone's attention before you've even finished your first sentence. So you've got them hooked. Nice. But now you have to keep them on the line, right? The secret to that is something we can call the dance. It's this constant back and forth, this rhythm between giving your audience some context and then, bam, hitting them with some conflict. And this idea actually comes from a pretty wild source, the creators of South Park, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They came up with this genius test for whether a story is working. They said if you can put the words "and then" between all your story points, well, you've probably got a pretty boring story on your hands. A good story needs more tension. So what do you use instead? It's this simple, powerful framework. But, and, therefore. Check it out. First, you establish some context. But something happens, a problem, a conflict. Therefore, a new situation is created. You see that? It's a chain reaction of cause and effect. It just pulls the viewer along, making them need to know what happens next. All right, we've got the blueprint. We've built the narrative core. Now for the fun part, the final polish. These are the little things that take a story from being just good to being truly great. Because look, we're not just dumping information on people, right? We're trying to create an experience. And a huge part of that experience, one you might not even notice consciously, is rhythm. The way your sentences flow, their length, their pacing, it can literally be like music to the ears. There's this amazing writer, Gary Provost, who put it perfectly. He wrote something like, "This sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. See? It gets repetitive. It's boring." But then he says when you vary the sentence length, you create music. The writing sings. That's the power of rhythm. It's what keeps people locked in. And you can literally see what this looks like. On one hand, you've got this flat, monotonous block. Every sentence is the same length. It's predictable. It's a snooze fest. But on the other hand, you get this dynamic, jagged edge, a mix of short sentences, then some medium ones, and then a really long one. That's what keeps the listener's brain fired up and paying attention. Okay, and for our last technique, the final piece of the puzzle. It's all about your tone, your delivery. The absolute best storytellers, they make you feel like they're just talking to you, one-on-one, not like they're reading a speech from a stage. I mean, think about people like Emma Chamberlain or even Steve Jobs giving one of his famous keynotes. They just have this way of making you feel like they're right there in the room with you. So how do you get that? Well, first, it's just about reps. You got to film yourself like 100 times to get comfortable. But the single best piece of advice, pretend you're talking to one good friend. Write your script for them, hit record, and talk to them. It will change everything about your delivery, I promise. So let's recap the whole process real quick. First, you get your direction. Start at the end. Second, you find your unique angle with a story lens. Third, you grab them with a killer hook. Fourth, you keep them moving with the butt and therefore dance. Fifth, you make it sound amazing with rhythm. And finally, you connect with them directly using your tone. That's the whole shebang. Look, these aren't just random tips. This is the blueprint. These are the tools that the best storytellers on the planet use every single day. So now you have them too. The only question left is, what masterpiece are you going to build first?